Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So the Quinnipiac poll just out today, and mind you, it's a liberal-leaning poll, again shows why voters are not buying what Joe Biden and the Democrats are selling. Check this out. The most urgent issue for Republican voters is inflation, 36%, immigration, 23%, and then crime, 11%. By the way, independents show similar results. Most urgent issues, inflation 32, immigration 10. Almost identical. And incidentally, on public enemy number one, which is inflation, import prices in January increased 10.8% over the past year. I just want to throw that in because it's a harbinger of higher consumer and wholesale prices in the future. So the inflation story is getting worse. Now, the most urgent issue for Democrats, climate change, 17%. Election laws, 16%. Really? Huh? Inflation, only 13%. Yesterday, in his brief White House remarks on Russia and the Ukraine, President Biden warned people that a Russian invasion could impact our energy prices. But then he said, well, we're taking active steps to elevate the pressure on our own energy markets to offset raising prices, and he's going to coordinate with major energy consumers and producers and work with Congress. I don't know what any of that means. No one could possibly know what any of that means because it doesn't mean anything. This administration has, at least temporarily, ruined America's great fossil fuel industry. It was the world's finest. 2 years ago, we were virtually energy independent, producing over 13 million barrels a day. Today, we're still stuck around 11 million barrels per day. Demand has recovered. Production has not. And that's because from the very beginning of his presidency, Joe Biden and his far-left minions unceasingly attacked fossil fuels on a daily basis. In his first hour after inauguration, he ended the Keystone Pipeline. Then he went on to end Anwar drilling, Willow drilling. Then he raised drilling fees on public lands. A constant barrage of insults. Then he nominates all these climate change radicals to various federal agencies who then beat the drums against oil and gas. The latest one, by the way, is Sarah Bloom Raskin, whose nomination to the Fed is in trouble because, in part, she wants to undermine the central bank's mission. And instead of fighting inflation, she wants to deny bank loans to fossil fuel companies. Do you know how stupid this is? I mean, suppose she actually succeeded. So, okay, no bank loans to the energy companies, so they go out of business. At a minimum, they stop drilling and producing and invest their money elsewhere. That means over time, the 70% of our energy coming from fossil fuels would disappear. And here's the key point. There is nothing to replace it. Nothing. There is no alternative plan. Just a lot of ideological nonsense on how solar and wind energy is somehow going to go from less than 5% to, I guess, 100% of energy. And by the by, energy prices will soar. That's the irony of Raskin at the Fed, who should be fighting inflation, but who instead will create much more inflation. But then again, tens and tens of millions of jobs would be lost. GDP would implode. I mean, there isn't a single thoughtful greenie who has mapped out an alternative energy structure. This is just one facet of the Biden agenda that he proclaims on a daily basis, and no one believes. No one. Now, the Putin-Ukraine issue is about many things, but it should never be about energy. Though we shouldn't have removed the Nord Stream 2 sanctions, which was a gift to Putin almost a year ago, the fact is a healthy American fossil fuel industry would not even care about Russian oil or natural gas. That might be Europe's problem because of their dumb climate change policies, but it would not be our problem. So a year ago, I sat in this chair and put forward my vision of the American economy. It was one of optimism and faith, supply-side economics, free enterprise, free market capitalism, all the best way to a prosperous America. And I suggested that a thriving, growing America has so many marvelous opportunities that it makes a happier America. And prosperity at home means strength abroad. Working folks, minorities, all gaining jobs and higher wages. I've always believed that the greatest welfare program of all is a good paying job. You know, I worked for the Reagan and Trump presidencies. I also wrote a book about the supply-side Democrat John F. Kennedy. And my conviction today, a year after we began this show, is as strong as ever. Unfortunately, and I mean this sincerely, unfortunately, Joe Biden has done everything in reverse. He has promoted big government socialism, inflationary spending, higher taxes, more regulations, soft on crime, and has immeasurably weakened this country's standing abroad. His polls have plunged faster and deeper than anyone has ever seen. It's a pity, and I mean that. But I do believe conservative principles are everlasting and universal. We saved America and killed the bill. Now we'll hang tough while we wait for the cavalry to come in November. I know self-praise is no praise, but really, truly, with an enormous sense of humility, I am grateful to still be in this chair a year later and very thankful for your support. And you know what, folks? Kind of hate to say it, but I've had a better year than Biden has. And that's my riff.